Welcome back to the It's Just Sport podcast paper review. I'm Joanna Burden.
I'm Neve Talon, and we are here to bring you the latest in women's sport this week. I think the first thing that we want to hit is that we have had viewers of 90% of you who are not subscribed to our channels, and we would love you hit that subscribe button and make sure that you tune in to get the latest content with us, and it actually helps us so much in raising the profile of women's sport and in getting our content out there as far and wide as possible. So any big reasons on why they should be subscribing to us, Joanne?
They should subscribe to us because you need your daily, weekly fix even of women's sports. You also need to hear our interviews and you need to stay involved for my tangents along with Neve's tangents because they are some of the best tangents you will see in the world. And also, you will see what is, I can only describe as some of the worst, best recording series that you'll ever see in your life. I think that's what makes us so good and so relatable is that we are learning with everyone else. So definitely tune in for us. Definitely see what happens. And also, we may drop a couple of big news, couple of bombshells might come up in the pod. You don't want to miss those.
Few competitions.
Yes, competitions. You might get to win stuff. I've started using the resistance bands. I've got a T-shirt. I'm not wearing it now, I will admit.
I have
But
my t-shirt.
look at Neve repping the T-shirt. You might win these bad boys and other stuff. They're sending out mini eggs as well, lads. You gotta subscribe. You gotta know what's happening. Hit that button.
Okay, so let's bring them the latest news today. Over to you.
Yes, in modern pentathlon, we've had Natalie Coyle and Sive Brassel in action at the Pentathlon World Cup. It was the first competition for the Irish pentathletes in over 13 months. And Natalia Coyle and Sive competed over in Budapest. Coyle finished 7th and Brassel finished 18th. So Natalia had already secured the Olympic qualification, but for Sive, she needed a chance to earn some crucial points for the Olympic qualification rankings because there are only 6 places left. Next up, there are 2 World Cups in Bulgaria, and then there's a World Championship in Cairo in June. I was also laughing at Natalia's tweet because she just flew in just to when the mandatory quarantine hotel was like implemented, and she tweeted something really cool, like she was like walking through, and an army fella was like, "Oh, congrats on everything you've done," and she was like, "Thanks." Like she imagine how like dating like that is like for her. But no, she's definitely ramping up her preparation. She's got everything in check. Her actually,
Mhm.
I mean, even though like it highlights the inequalities and stuff between sports and men and women and all that kind of stuff, her updates on her Twitter and Instagram, like they were quite good. I mean, I was in fear for my
Mhm.
own job that she was gonna kind of
I
that she might take a job as a
think
reporter.
no, I think in modern pentathlon they're very good at keeping us updated in what's going on. And Natalia has obviously been a leading force in modern pentathlon. It's obviously a minority sport in Ireland, and
Mhm.
for the past number of years, she's been brilliant in it and in inspiring anybody to get involved. Herself and Sive have been training together for several years. Sive was her training partner for Rio. So it's really exciting. Hopefully, we'll see that Sive Brassel gets that qualification spot for the upcoming Olympics in Tokyo. One of 6 hopefully will be hers. And then in relation to Natalia, look, Natalia has said that she's going for a podium position. She's
Mhm.
obviously had success in the last couple of years and managed to get up onto that podium in relation to the Olympic Games. She's had 2 top 10 finishes, so she will be trying to get on that podium like as best as she can. It's certainly something that's within shot for her. So we're wishing her all the
Which
best, and we
which
look forward to
sport
the next action.
which sport would be your sport for like modern pentathlon? Like which would be your like thing?
Oh, well, like I've done a few of them. So like
Go on.
the only ones I can't do were fencing and shooting. I actually did go and
Right.
try fencing with my sister, just
I
inside
did.
secret.
I had to do
But
shooting. I had to do shooting above in Dún Laoghaire, like at the
oh,
like
deadly.
the rehab. Like yeah, yeah. So basically, like I don't know, to get some coordination back for people who've been in an accident.
Hmm.
They got people to do shooting, and I got to. I just happened to be like in the hall, like at that moment in time, because I think we were
Yeah.
playing wheelchair basketball like down the other hall. So I just happened to come through, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to do some shooting?" I was really young at the time, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." Like why not? Like my inner like the Second Amendment in like the U.S. Constitution like emerged. I was like, oh yeah, I don't really get guns, and then I like had one. I was like, oh my god, I can get
Was
this.
it laser or was it like
No
what kind of gun was
actual
it?
like an actual.
Okay.
It had pellets in it. Yeah, yeah. So you were shooting
Hmm.
at targets,
Oh.
like not people, but like one, two.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. I actually it was really funny. I said it to like a friend of mine. I was like, "Oh, do you think I could do like modern pentathlon, like Paralympic version?" And they were like, "I would not trust you with a gun. Like you're incredibly
Yeah.
blind." I hit 9. That was my highest.
Yeah, I think we should tell people a little bit about modern pentathlon and exactly what it is. I will give you my best overview of it, but definitely check out Modern Pentathlon Ireland and follow Natalia and Saib and just check in with what they're doing. But in relation to the sport itself, there's 5 disciplines. You start off with the fencing rounds, and you have to fight everybody that's in the competition. The next day you do the swim, so it's a 200-meter swim. Then you do show jumping. So I think the show jumping is actually really interesting because it's not your own horse. It's a horse out of a pool of horses that you ride, and each horse has 2 riders. So somebody else may have ridden the horse before you or after you. But yeah, I think it's something like half an hour that you have to get to know the horse, which is like, you have to be a good rider to kind of be able to familiarize yourself with different horses, because obviously they have personalities too. And then you are accumulating points as you go. And then based on the points, you get kind of set up for the last round, which was a combination of running and shooting. And the shoot, unlike Joanne's, is a laser. And so as far as I recall, it's 3,200 meters, and between each 800-meter lap, you shoot. And then, first person wins. So basically, like, you get to your starting point and based on like the 3 events beforehand, and then for the last 2 events, like that's how it gets decided who gets let off first. And then obviously, like, you might have some really talented runners that mightn't have done well in events beforehand that might get started off back the field, but that doesn't mean that you're safe, because like they could come flying through. And I mean, if you can't get the shooting right, it could be quite difficult there. You could be flying it on the run, but if you're not getting the shots in, you can't go on your next lap. But definitely a sport that like is well worth tuning into and having a look at if you can, and something that is certainly a medal hopeful for Tokyo as we go forward towards the Olympics later this year.
And it's chaotic. It's very chaotic to watch.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, like, because like literally anything could happen. Because as you said, you could have like a really good runner back in the field, and then all of a sudden they're shooting and running really fast, and they're like second or third within like a shot. It's, excuse the pun, it's crazy. That's my.
I actually did go to see Natalia in Rio, so it was great to see the Irish in action. So.
Once again, that she's not in the Olympics. Oh, okay.
No, but it was. I thought it would be a really good event to go to, from seeing like the different sports, and obviously like Natalia is a brilliant Irish athlete, and just from the perspective of that, like watching that event, you actually get to see a couple of different sports like in one, so it's really cool. But anyway, we move on to the powerlifting. So Brittany Arendzee took home gold in the women's 67 kilo category at the World Powerlifting World Cup in Manchester. She lifted 102 kilos to finish third. Ibrahim of Nigeria claimed gold in a lift of 122 kilos. That is like 20 kilos beyond what Arendzee was doing, which is savage. But
10 times my weight. 10 Joanne's.
No, it's like 20 kilos more than what Brittany lifted is like incredible. It's but brilliant to see an Irish girl on the podium and doing so well. So to give you a bit of a background into Brittany, in 2018 she became the first Irish powerlifter to go for a world record and set the junior world record at 98.5 kilos. So obviously this is about 3 years ago, and now she is lifting 3.5 more kilos. 3, is that correct? Was that my maths correct? Yeah. 3.5 more kilos, which is good to see her moving up. And obviously as she keeps developing as an athlete and pushing those boundaries, we'll see more success for her. But congratulations to her. I think she's delighted with that podium finish. In athletics news, Rashida Adeleke broke the Irish under-20 record in a time of 23:27. Emily Maher's record has stood for 21 years at 23:34. So she broke it in the Texas relays. That's Adeleke broke it in the Texas relays and is now 5th on the all-time list. So that's something that is very exciting to see her doing so well in the States, having just recently moved over there. Her previous personal best in 200 meters came in 2019 at the European Youth Olympics, where she won the sprint double in 23:52. So that was for the 200 meters. She broke the 400 meter under 20 record last month with 53:44. Which is, so anyway, she's in flying form and is certainly one to watch and will be developing more and more over the next couple of years. Alana Lally is also over in the US, and she recently broke the 800 meter Temple University record. She broke it by 2 seconds, which is an incredible achievement there. Dropping a record by 2 seconds is great. She ran 2:05.5 to take half a second off her own PB, and she's now 15th on the all-time Irish indoor list. So she'll certainly be happy with that as she continues to move forward, and will obviously be keeping eyes on what's going on at home in relation to Irish indoor 800 meter and 1500 meter running. So we look forward to seeing what is in store for Lally over the next few months. I think she's due to finish up in Temple at the end of this year, and then we'll see what's next for her. There was a lot of football on this weekend. I heard it was, goals galore. There were so many different goals in the first round of the Women's National League. So give us the update on that.
Yeah, I was very busy on Saturday. I had no life. I literally was stuck to my laptop, my iPad, whatever like was playing games for me. I was on it. Like it was class. But yeah, so first of all, I suppose we had Bohemians up against Treaty United. It was the first game of the day, and Bows won 6-2. Brona Kane and Aoife Robinson scored 2 goals each for Bows. It was very exciting for them to be involved. Noel King, the king is back, like literally and metaphorically. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see where they can go, and exciting to see what they can do, I suppose, in the future. You've got Athlone Town also up against Shelburne. Shelburne are some of the favourites start of the campaign, but they obviously got off to a winning start with a 2-0 win over Athlone. Captain Pearl Flattery opened the scoring, with Alex Kavanagh wrapping up the scoring for them also. So yeah, a decent win, I suppose, for Shells and for Bows. Interesting to see how all the Dublin teams are kind of involved, and see how they get along. There's fierce competition in Dublin, I suppose, at the minute. We also had Wexford Youths and Peamount United. I suppose that was the game that everyone kind of wanted to see on paper. It was incredibly close game. Wexford actually missed a penalty before Eleanor Ryan Doyle scored an incredible goal to give Peamount a 1-0 win. So yeah, it was an incredibly good game. Really, really tight. I think people didn't think it would be as kind of shrewd and defensively as it was kind of set up. I think people thought it'd be kind of goals galore, but I think that's really a testament to both teams, that they just adapted to basically how football is these days. They just shored up, and yeah, no, it was kind of great to see. Galway played Cork City. It was a 3-3 thriller. I mean, I'm so sick of seeing BBC report on nil-all thrillers in the Premier League, so to actually say a draw was a thriller is an understatement. That game was on in Galway. We had Rachel Kearns, Mayo footballer. She scored a hat-trick for Galway in the most eventful of games. And then Becky Casson, I mean, did you see her goal? I can't remember, I don't know if you've seen it. It was like wonder goal to like level the game in the last minute. So Becky's obviously captain for Cork City at the minute, and this goal was scored literally on the right corner, close to the midfield line. She just swivel turned, and she just lobbed the keeper from, I can't even calculate how far out that is. It's very far out. Like it's quite near midfield. Like that's where she like lobbed the keeper. It was crazy. It was literally probably one of the goals of the season already, like contender. And it was kind of funny because Rachel Kearns had just scored a potential, like, as the Spanish would say, golazo, like an incredible goal before that. And yeah, it just got overshadowed by Becky. So yeah, onwards and upwards for Cork City. Obviously, I'm showing my bias here. Yeah, no, it was an incredible weekend of action, and the second round of action happens this weekend, and you can also catch them for free on watchloi.ie if you're interested. You just have to put in your email, sign up that way. It takes 2 seconds to support the women's game. And yeah, no, some incredible matches, some incredible players, and I know this week, we actually have she's returning to football. We have someone on talking to us about the Women's National League, don't we? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, of course. We have done an interview with Chloe Mustaki, and we are excited to release that. It's great to hear her story, and she has loads of great advice, and it's a very honest and insightful interview. So definitely check that out later this week. I guess moving on from the football, we're heading towards the oval ball, so onto the Six Nations. That's starting off this week, so definitely tune in. It's going to be very exciting. We will be supporting Ireland all the way, and look forward to seeing the girls in green in action. We have talked to a number of the players recently enough. So we had Baven Parsons on recently on It's Just Sport, a League of Her Own. We did an interview with Anna Capeless in relation to online social conversation, and making sure that you're being respectful of people. We have an interview with Emer Considine in the Pipeworks, and also with Claire Malloy. So there is a lot of rugby interviews and content there to be checking out. Defending champions England will take on Scotland on Saturday at 3 p.m. Wales will take on France later that evening at 8 p.m. They're both in the Irish group. The Six Nations are also running a fantasy rugby league for the first time ever, and we have set up a league for our community in which there will be lots of exciting prizes to win. So there'll be cash prizes, maybe a few jerseys or some other exciting bits and pieces to be won. So we'll be releasing that over the coming days to weeks. Like definitely by this time next week you'll have all the inside scoop on that. But yeah, head over to the website to check out more. It's €5 to sign up, and you know, there'll be great competition in it. There'll be lots of opportunities for fun prizes, and it's a great way to get to know the players, get really involved in the game. And obviously you know, we're still kind of all under lock and key at the moment, so yeah, let's really get into the rugby and see what's going on there. Yeah, that's really it in relation to that. It's, if anyone has any questions, just pop us a message, but we want to see as many people involved in it as possible. You know, challenge your friends and see if you can beat them in the Her Sport Rugby League.
I do love a good fantasy league. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like
It's my first time. I'm excited.
The Premier League one took over my life about 3 years ago, and I kind of figured out then I had a very addictive personality. I don't know what it is. I just get addicted to things very quickly. But then I'll like go off them for like a week, you know. Like yeah, I'm up and down. But yeah, no, fantasy league. It's actually a great way to learn players. It's a great way to kind of not interact, but like it's a great way to have fun with your friends, be able to create a little like click and group, you know, especially in these kind of lockdown times, to be able to, you know, text your friends and just say, hey, did you update your fantasy team? And just kind of see what happens. So it's actually a great way to stay up to date with everything. It's a great way to get to know players, and more importantly, it's a great way to interact with your friends, get rugby and the women's game out there particularly more, and just have fun. I think that's really, I mean, people take it very seriously. I don't know if you've like seen like sort of like the men's game, like people would, like,
so into it.
and be like, why didn't you play? Like, what's wrong? Like, you messed up in my league. Did you know that like the whole thing, well, in America, it started like as a joke, and it's now like $1 billion. Like, the guy who started it has no say on the money.
That's
like,
class.
it's not his
No,
thing.
I actually really looking forward to playing it. I'm you know, not going to be counted into a rise, obviously, but I'm just excited to see how it all works. It's not something that I've done before, but definitely from the perspective of, I know there's lots of other people out there that haven't tried you know, playing fantasy league before, so definitely just like get involved. There's some good prizes to be won, and then obviously it's a great way, as we were saying, to get to know the players. So like the reason that we're putting it out there and that we wanted to organize one was because we want, you know, to people to learn about the players, like get into the games. I think, you know, if you have a fantasy league, you get really invested into what's happening in the next match and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we set it up, and we're looking forward to kicking it off. Tell us a bit.
You get obsessed. No, like you get obsessed. Like you start like, no, like from my experience, like you start like watching everything they're doing on social. Like if they look like they're playing football with their kid, you don't want them playing football with their kid. Like, God forbid. Like, you don't want that.
We will actually have some kind of top tips from the captains as we tuned into the Six Nations launch. So we tuned into that earlier, and one of the suggested players to have on the team was our Her Sport brand ambassador, Baven Parsons. That's one of the, you know, inside scoops there, but we will be releasing content over the next couple of days and over, you know, the kind of duration of the league into, you know, maybe who to watch and maybe who to have on your team. But obviously it's going to be an exciting thing to do, and it will change every week. But tell me a bit about what's going on in winter sport, because this is really exciting.
Yes, Niamh, your dream has come true. Unfortunately, you are too old. Because Luge are now recruiting between the ages of 12 to 18. So this is my attempt at doing an ad. So if you are enthusiastic about Irish winter sports, if you enjoy roller coasters and water slides, then we have the sport for you. Go online to www.lugeireland.com and find out how you can be a member of Luge Ireland and become some of Ireland's top future winter Olympic stars. You have to be between the ages of 12 and 18 to sign up. Terms and conditions apply. Don't forget to ask your parents. But yes, Luge, they can
I think that's perfect. That's perfect because, look, we obviously have, you know, been in touch with Elsa Desmond before. We've covered her before on the podcast. She did a Her Sport takeover. So if you want an insight into what Luge is, check out the takeover. And just get in touch with them, ask questions. But it's something that it's really exciting to be part of winter sports in Ireland. Obviously, it's not something that might be considered mainstream, but definitely offers lots of opportunities. And Elsa, I think, will be open probably to answer some questions if you have them as well, because I know she's very approachable and she's really passionate about the sport that she's involved in. But I know both of us would love to give it a go. I think I'll be trying it at some point if I can. So
have you done it? Have you ever done anything similar?
No, I did tobogganing at one point. We went skiing a long time ago, and I was tobogganing, but I think I was maybe too young or too small or something to bobsleigh at that point, but definitely on the list of things to do. So we'll see. But I know obviously you have your big bobsleigh career.
I did.
Under
under my belt. Look, I clearly should be who they're looking for. I've got experience. I have done it. I have learned how to do like start times. So, like for context, I did bobsleighing as part of a BBC series. BBC, I think it was BBC Kids. So it was the children's channel, not BB's, but the other one in between. So yeah, they basically did a documentary about me called My Life, I think is what it was called, and in it they set you a challenge. So my challenge was to go bobsleighing with the British Olympians who were participating in Sochi that year, or maybe the year after. Something. It was within the year, anyways. So yeah, I got to go over to Bath where they train, and I got to help them out in terms of their like starting, because they basically needed to get their start down to 0.4 of a second to win like the gun sounds in order to place in the get a podium position. So yeah, they flew me over. So it was really weird because you obviously need like good weight. Obviously, I'm not. I mean, I just confessed earlier that I'm 10 times lighter than a weight that was lifted in the powerlifting. So I'm about 24 kilos, and yeah, so they needed me and the coach to sit in to the bobsleigh, and then they basically would like start off. So you go from 0 to 90 kilometers or 90 miles in 0.4 of a second. That was their aim. Wow. That was their target. So it's really like, it is adrenaline like rushing. So I don't know if Luge want to reach out to myself or yourself, I'd happily relay and relearn my experiences over and over. I know we have a story about Latvia, but it just reminded me because I was in Latvia as well about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, and they offered me to do bobsleighing, but I was too small. Health and safety wouldn't allow it. Yeah. But I know you have a great story when it comes to
in relation
Ireland's bobsleigh team.
Yeah, well, I mean, in relation to bobsleigh, like we have actually had bobsleigh in Ireland before on the men's side, and we had a couple of rowers go over. So we actually have a summer and winter Olympian that comes from rowed in the 1980 and the 1988 Olympics. He actually rowed in the 98 Olympics with my rowing coach. So it would be a story that we've heard before. So Pat McDonough was an Irish rowing Olympian, and then was part of the 1992 bobsleigh team as well. So there was a guy from the UK wanted to bobsleigh, and I think had tried it over in the UK and it didn't really work out, and then came to Ireland to see what he could do here, and then basically ended up kind of developing and funding a bobsleigh team here, and had got a couple of rowers involved. I think there was a track athlete involved as well, and a couple of people like to try it out. So from Neptune Rowing Club anyway, there was a couple of people involved back then, and that would still be knocking around our club that had actually tried it out. And then Pat McDonough actually got to go in 1992 as part of the two-man bobsled. So it's a story I think that not a lot of people know about, but it's actually pretty cool. And then in relation to Winter Olympics, like obviously Ireland hasn't had loads and loads of people compete in Winter Olympic Games, and I think it's cool that this was actually something that managed to go ahead, and I think we've seen more Winter Olympians since. We obviously have luge, we have skeleton. I know we've a couple of skiers. I think there's a few in ice skating and stuff at the moment. So it's obviously we're not blessed with the weather, and having something like an ice rink, we wouldn't have loads of ice rinks around and all that kind of stuff. But definitely have a look into what some of the winter sports are. And you might be surprised at how what ones you might be able to get involved in or what might suit you. And I think sometimes the Irish athletes may actually sometimes live in other countries that do have this kind of setup or support. So like obviously, if you're living in France or something, you might have more access to trying out skiing than trying the dry slopes in Kiltiernan or whatever it is. But yeah, so that's a walk back in history, back into the 90s, and some of the Irish history in relation to bobsleigh. But yeah, other than that, there's a couple of people that I know that would love to try out something like luge or skeleton. While it's obviously the top speeds are quite intimidating, I think it's something like I don't know, 85k an hour, it could be more. And you're essentially like, you're just like lying on this, and you're just like, any little movement can change something. But I mean, obviously at beginner level, you're going like a lot slower, but I think it's something that could be really exciting for people to try out. So definitely check out www.lugeireland.com, and luge is spelled Luge, just in case anybody doesn't know that. But back to the beginning, what we want to make sure people do today is subscribe if you've managed to make it as far as the end of this video. We know that 90% of you are not subscribed to our channel, so please hit that button, and make sure to catch us next week. And as you said, there is a great interview coming with Chloe Mustaki this Friday, so be sure to tune in. But anyway, tune in.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if Luge want to reach out to us, we'll happily come out and do whatever. But yeah, if you think we've missed anything, or if there's anything you think we should get up to date on, feel free to send us a tweet, email Niamh and her sport. Don't forget to follow us on social at JoannaR_OX and at hersport.ie on Twitter. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at JoannaR and at hersport.ie as well. And if you want to talk about the podcast, use the hashtag IJS. So yeah, we really do appreciate all the support that's coming in so far. We know we're in our infancy. We know we're very young as a podcast, but we do have a lot of plans and do have things that we want to trial and do. So no, fingers crossed everything restriction wise gets lifted. We have some really cool content up and coming with some really cool interviews and other people coming in. So yeah, tune in and enjoy everything that we're doing. So yeah, Niamh, looking forward to seeing you on the luge track and going head to head.
We could be a two-man bobsled team.
Oh, we're going competitive now. We're going competitive.
We're ready to roll.
Like rowing, I'll bring you into my boat, like no bother. Luge, no, we got to do it on our own, man. We got to do it.
Oh wait, luge too. And we could be a bobsled. We could be a bobsled.
A bobsled. My one was a four-man, like a four-man bobsled. Okay. I was the front, so I had I didn't have all the weight to like control. I I was just more like left, right, turn. So that was my aim.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there, and we will catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening.